Now we come to the last game of the Rugby Championship. I know the All Blacks have already wrapped it up, but this has to be the highlight for All Black players, All Black fans, and Springbok fans as well, playing in South Africa, because really that is the greatest challenge in the world rugby, is to beat South Africa in South Africa. Very few teams do it. Just ask Australia, who seem to win about 10 to 15% of their games over there. It's a huge challenge, and it doesn't matter if the All Blacks team are strong or weak, or the South African teams are strong or weak. It's always tough to win there. Now, there was a bit of a surprise in the selection of the team this week, with Jack Goodhue coming in at centre instead of Ryan Crotty. Now, I would have thought that Sonny Bill and Ryan Crotty were the number one midfield combination, but I think the All Blacks selectors and coach are looking at the future a little bit towards the World Cup, and they want to see what Jack Goodhue is made of. Now, he's already started against France this year, and he did very well. He started against Australia, so he'll step up, and he did very well. And now it's against South Africa, even bigger challenge for him in South Africa. And he did play a little bit against the Springboks in Wellington. He even almost set up a try, and if TJ Perenara had half decent speed, he would have scored a try. So I think they have a lot of confidence in Jack Goodhue, and from what we've seen so far this year, I do as well, and I think he'll be up for the challenge. And also coming off the bench, we have Richie Mo'unga instead of Damian McKenzie, which I think is a good call, because one, Damian McKenzie's coming back from a funeral, and so it might be a big ask flying back from New Zealand, and all of a sudden you're playing against South Africa. So Richie Mo'unga, I think, is a good selection, because he had a good little cameo against Argentina. He made a few half breaks, and of course the chip kick through for Anton Leonard-Brown's try, I think was very good. So I have a lot of confidence that he can do well coming off the bench as well. Okay, so now a lot of talk has been given to the fact that we're playing at Loftus Versfeld. Now, we've played there 4 times since rugby went professional back in '96, and we've won 4 times. 3 of those 4 times we've won quite well. I mean, in 99, we won 34-18, 2003, 52-16, 2006, 45-26. And then, of course, back in '96 was a close game, but it was the test that got us the first series win against South Africa ever. In fact, it's still the only time that we've beaten South Africa in a 3-test series in South Africa. Now, of course, we don't really play test series in South Africa anymore, but in 2006 and in 2009, we've played in South Africa twice in the same year. And 2006, we won at Loftus, and then we followed that up with a loss against South Africa in Rustenburg. And then 2009, of course, we lost 2 in a row in Bloemfontein and then Kings Park, Durban. So even though we've played them twice in a calendar year, a few times, we haven't won those ones either. So it's a huge challenge winning in South Africa. Now, some people might think, well, isn't it just a coincidence that we win at Loftus? Did we just happen to have good teams the times that we were playing in Loftus? And that might be true. I mean, in '96, we had an excellent team. We only lost 1 game that year, and that was the last test at Ellis Park. In 2003, we had a good team. We didn't win the World Cup, but we did have a strong team in 2003, and we dominated the Tri-Nations. And then in 2006, of course, we had a very good team as well. We only lost 1 game in that season. Back in '99, though, when we won quite comfortably, we had an up and down year. Let's just say that. I mean, there were times where we looked pretty good. I mean, 28-0 against South Africa, and then we lose 28-7 to Australia. Then we beat Australia, then we lose to this team. It was very up and down. So it wasn't really a dominant year for the All Blacks, and yet we managed to win at Loftus quite comfortably. Now, I'm looking at the venue and I'm thinking, well, what is it about Loftus that makes it so good for the All Blacks? And for one, it's usually a very hard surface, and it's good for running rugby. Now, the All Blacks, of course, they love running rugby. And then, of course, you have high altitude. So kicking the ball from end to end is quite easy. And Victor Matfield, who's played for South Africa, of course, and he played his home games at Loftus for the Bulls, well, most of his home games. He said that when you play at Loftus Versfeld in Pretoria, it is a quick game of rugby. And who better to play a quick game of rugby than the All Blacks? So I think because of that, because of the conditions, it favours the All Blacks, and I think that's why they have good success there. Now, as for result, what do I think will happen? Well, of course, we're coming off the loss against South Africa in Wellington. You've probably got the most motivated All Black team come in the rugby championship for quite a while, because not only was our home loss against South Africa the first one against the Springboks, it was our first home loss in the rugby championship ever. We haven't lost to Australia or Argentina at home since the rugby championship began in 2012. So we're very motivated to get some payback. Now, they won't be saying that in the media, oh, we want to get payback, but they will be feeling it, I promise you. And the coaches will be extra motivated to make sure that we play a heck of a game. And one thing I have noticed, the South African media, not so much the players or coaches, but the media are a little bit cocky. And of course, they're writing about how great the Springboks are and how they've won their last 2 games. They've beaten, of course, the All Blacks. They've beaten Australia at home. And they're a little bit cocky. And the thing is, as a player, you do read the newspaper, you do look at things online, and you might start to think, oh, maybe I am pretty good, just like the media have said. I mean, the All Blacks were guilty of that in Wellington. I think we took South Africa a bit lightly. But I think because of their cockiness and because maybe South Africa think that they're all that, I think the All Blacks can get the win. Now, as for the scoreline, I think by the time the final whistle goes, the All Blacks would have won the game reasonably comfortably. Now, I'm picking a 41-22 scoreline, which is actually the average score that the All Blacks have against South Africa in Pretoria, at least since '96. And I think that after a really physical and hard-fought game, especially in the first half, I think we will be able to pull away a little bit in the second half and win 41-22. Now, of course, I never go against the All Blacks anyway, but I have a gut feeling that this will be a very good game for the All Blacks. And South Africa will be licking their wounds a little bit by the end of it and maybe having to eat a little bit of humble pie. That's my gut feeling. I could be wrong. I was certainly wrong the last time we played South Africa. But if you're looking for a more determined, more motivated All Black team, this is the game that they are going to do it. And they're going to win well. So, congratulations for a good win, All Blacks. I hope.